Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, hope you've all been doing well. In this video, we'll be discussing the recent leaks surrounding a Zen 2 refresh for the desktop and some Big Navi information. Starting with the former, and bear in mind these aren't confirmed or anything, so grain of salt. The news comes from HXL on Twitter, who is a known hardware leaker, and in response to one of their own tweets saying that a big day is coming on June 16th, 2020, where we're going to be seeing the release of a Ryzen 7 3750X and a Ryzen 7 3850X, with sales starting the following month on July 7th, 2020, exactly 1 year after the Ryzen 3000 series processors had hit store shelves. Apart from that, no new information was given in regards to clock speeds or core counts, but with names like 3750X and 3850X, you can easily assume they'll be similar to the 3700X and 3800X. At first, I was quite dismissive of this rumor, but we started to see more information about this later, which further just started to make the release seem more likely. During Gigabyte's B550 presentation, they even mentioned Matisse and Refresh on their slide, suggesting that there will be some kind of renewed SKUs of Zen 2. Then a few hours later, WCCF Tech had reported that one of their sources confirmed the existence of these new CPUs as part of the new Matisse refresh, except their rumors differentiated from the first, where they claimed there will be 3 new CPUs instead of 2. Along with that, the naming scheme is also different. The 3 CPUs they mention are the Ryzen 9 3900 XT, Ryzen 7 3800 XT, and Ryzen 5 3600 XT, which are meant to replace the Ryzen 9 3900X, Ryzen 7 3800X, and Ryzen 5 3600X respectively. Core counts will also remain the same for these CPUs, but they mentioned that what is interesting is that all 3 CPUs will feature higher clock speeds and enhanced overclock support. Our sources also suggest that the boost algorithms for the new CPUs are more tightly tuned, which should result in a 5 to 10% performance improvement over existing parts. They further speculate that these new Ryzen 3000 processors will have a clock speed bump anywhere from around 200 to 300 MHz, and that pricing will be the same as the original Ryzen 3000 SKUs that they're replacing, while the original CPUs like the 3900X and 3800X will be getting price cuts. The price cuts have actually been confirmed though, as we have seen the Ryzen 9 3900X lower to $410, which I believe is an absolutely fantastic price for such a powerhouse of a CPU. I can vouch for that as I own one. So whether these CPUs will come out actually remains to be seen, but if you ask me my opinion on the whole matter, I would say it's not really necessary. I honestly feel like AMD shouldn't bother with this due to a few various reasons. First, let's look at some reasons why they would want to do this. Yes, we know as time goes on, their current manufacturing process will get better, more mature, which will yield significantly better quality silicon. So it's not far-fetched to think that they can't squeeze out more performance from these processors through higher clocks and TDP changes. These semiconductor companies usually have the capability to do so, as we saw with Ryzen 1000, which got refreshed on the 12nm node as Ryzen 2000, and we're seeing Intel refresh their 14nm processors for half a decade now. Therefore, the reason why they would be more likely to do this is because it wouldn't really cost them anything, and if they can sell good quality dies to mainstream consumers who are willing to pay for it, then why not? Along with that, AMD have these enticing products they can release now to steal the spotlight from Intel's 10th generation CPUs, which were also just recently released. Looking at this from a performance standpoint though, it's not really going to change much, and that's why I was baffled by these rumors in the first place. It's already been established that if you are a professional esports player who games on a 240Hz monitor, plays at 1080p low settings with a 2080 Ti because you need every frame you can get, then Intel is probably the route you want to go to. But that's an extremely niche category, and most users dropping $1,000 on a graphics card and paying $400 or $500 for a CPU aren't gaming like that and would rather have their sights set on 1440p or 4K, where the CPU hardly even matters then. With that said, for pretty much everything else, whether it's multi-threaded performance, content creation, you're looking for the best performance per dollar, you want the best value for your money, and you care about efficiency, then Ryzen is the clear winner. The R9 3900X offers better multi-core performance than the 10900K, and isn't really that far behind in regards to gaming performance. I own a 144Hz monitor and a 120Hz TV, both of which are being utilized by Ryzen systems, and I've honestly haven't felt like I wasn't getting the adequate gaming performance. Will the extra 200 or 300 MHz clock speed bump help? Sure, but we have to keep in mind that it will help close that gap in gaming performance, however it won't be enough, and Intel will still be ahead, and it's not going to be changing the opinion of that niche market anyway, not drastically though. This is due to the fact that Ryzen isn't really bottlenecked by clock speeds. The area that AMD needs to address is their inter-core latencies and also memory latency, which is what games are quite sensitive to. These problems should be addressed in the future once Zen 3 Vermeer Ryzen 4000 CPUs hit the market, as they will be bringing 8-core CCXs that should help mitigate that latency problem. I also believe they will increase the max threshold of the Infinity Fabric, as before one would have to dial back to a 1:2 ratio beyond, say, 3800 MHz. Right now, Ryzen 3000 limit is at around 1800 MHz, maybe 1900 MHz if you've got a good quality sample and hit the silicon lottery. Zen 3 is looking like a huge leap over the current Zen 2 CPUs, and that's saying something considering how good they already are. With higher 15 to 20% IPC rumors, higher clock speeds, which was indicative from that leaked engineering sample, along with better inter-core latencies and increased Infinity Fabric clock speed, it begs the question then, why would you even bother with the Matisse refresh? Especially if these Zen 3 CPUs are due later in the year, which wouldn't hurt to wait a few more months. I think these CPUs may have originally been intended for that crowd that owns a 300 or 400 series chipset board. Remember that whole fiasco earlier this month where AMD wouldn't be supporting Zen 3 on those boards? I think they could have been prompted into doing a refresh launch of these CPUs to give those owners a more extensive upgrade path and to help keep that backlash down. However, with AMD backtracking on that, it's kind of a moot point. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how they handle it. If they release them, then I guess more options for consumers. If not, then it doesn't matter because you're better off waiting for Zen 3 anyway. The next leak comes from a site called Hardware Leaks, aka Rogame, who is also a very known hardware leaker. This time we have some information regarding AMD's future GPU stack based on the Navi 21 GPU, along with the refreshed Navi 10 stack. In this leak, the only info we've gotten was the GPU codenames and what segment they're probably targeting. If you were interested in hearing about clock speeds, performance leaks, or pricing, then you'll probably have to keep waiting for that. The leaker first mentioned that he had reported 10 different PCIe IDs based on Navi 21. Now, he had more specific information in regards to what the different variants are for and what segment they'll be targeting. First off, we've got 4 gaming variants, starting off with Navi 21 XTX, which will be a flagship GPU similar to the 5700 XT Anniversary Edition. Following that, we've got a Navi 21 XT, which is supposed to be the replacement for the regular 5700 XT, followed by Navi 21 XL, which is supposed to be the replacement for the RX 5700. Then we've got Navi 21 XC, which slots in for the 5600 XT. He goes on further to talk about the other SKUs, which will also be doing the same for the Pro market and some Apple exclusive dies. But apart from those entries, that's really about it for Navi 21. He further talks about how Navi 10 will be refreshed for the lower end segment, so there won't be any RDNA 2 models for the entry level. I'll have links down below to everything so you guys can read in further detail if you want. Definitely check it out. It'll be interesting to see what kind of information and rumors we hear as we get closer to launch, especially as both AMD and Nvidia are looking to launch new generation cards at around the same time. And I for one am hoping we get some much needed competition for the graphics card market. If you guys enjoyed this content, then leave a like, let me know your thoughts down below, check out the video description for ways to support the channel, and if you're interested in more content like this, then make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.